Samantha, thank you. A developing story tonight involving a local radio personality and newly filed court documents.
A temporary restraining order is filed against former Kiss FM morning host Otis Day, alleging involvement in an online harassment case. Victoria Frazier shares what the documents reveal.
Those court filings outline allegations tied to a fake social media account that investigators say targeted another radio host with personal information and repeated posts. The petition names both Richard Otis Day and Emily Chagnon and details an investigation that included messages, social media records, and interviews with law enforcement.
Court documents show temporary restraining orders were filed March 23, 2026 by radio host Natalie Jansen of WIXX against Chagnon and Day. In the documents, Jansen says Chagnon created and operated a fake social media account targeting her, posting previous addresses, more than 50 photos of her child, and making harassing statements. Between mid-2024 and October of 2025, the account under the alias Sally Gibson ran a page called TIW's Day Hollaback XXIW, sharing personal information about Jansen and her child's father, along with defamatory posts. One post referenced a photo taken September 7, 2025, at a work event without Jansen's knowledge. Jansen says the post caused her to fear for her safety, and she reported the situation to law enforcement. Following an investigation, including a warrant to Facebook, authorities say the account was traced to an IP address registered to Chagnon, who later admitted to operating the page. Investigators also uncovered messages between Chagnon and Richard Day from his former WIXX Facebook page.
We reached out to Natalie Jansen and Otis Day as well as their attorneys and have not heard back yet. We also reached out to WIXX for a statement on the matter and are waiting to hear back.